Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Ryan Allen Bell Show. I'm here with Chris O'Brien. The world knows him as Come Out Better. What's up, bro? How are you doing today, man?
What's up, man? What's up, internet people, wherever you're listening in from in your present reality, and welcome to the Ryan Allen Bell Show. This is an awesome privilege and a great honor. I think that
Yeah,
episode one, man, what a
yeah,
gift. What
yeah.
an honor to be here. So thanks, man.
Dude, it is a gift because you were that last episode on the Ryan or the Home Based Business podcast, I think in like 2021. And just went through my own revolution, and I was like, you know what? I'm rebranding. I'm launching again. Like, I want to start this one where I left off, bro. So here
That's
we are.
amazing. That's good. And that was 4 years ago. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Holy
yeah,
crap. Wow, the world has changed since then. We'll dive deep into that. But yeah,
yeah,
man, I'm excited for your expansion. Congratulations, and
yeah.
good way to start it off.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So before I get into like our conversation, I just want to say, like, what are the odds that our podcast episode is on the day that the SEC drops the XRP case, bro?
It's already written, man. This is all coded. It's the golden age. Yeah, now I've
Yeah.
got my Future of Finance shirt that I rock.
Yes.
The XRP lawsuit. It's it's like its last phase where the appeal is over on the CC side. So now pretty much the ball's in Ripple's court. They can do what they want,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of timing. And I always believe this is all choreographed years in advance.
Wow.
No one knew what day these things happen. July 13th, right? It declares not a security. March 19th. All these dates and times, but we could definitely dive into it in a little bit. But it's there's no coincidences here. It's all written. The golden age is happening right before our eyes. So
Dude. Man, I'm so excited, bro. I'm so excited. So yeah, I definitely want to go deep in that, but let's zoom out, back up a little bit. So my mission so far for the show is in this season focusing on human-based marketing. So I believe what's bridging the gap between the industrial age to the information age and the golden age is human-based marketing, which is, recognizing technology, recognizing AI, but realizing is it's all about, kind of what we're doing here, just actually connecting with people face to face, meeting people, helping people grow, serving people. So we could kind of go into like your 2 cents with that is like, what is your opinion and how you see like human-based marketing for like bridging the gap to the golden age?
Well, I think human-based marketing is not something that's recent. I think it was, you can go as far back as even the internet when we found ways to actually connect with people all over the world, not just in the physical. I think that brought a lot of connection to the world. Now, obviously, the internet has its pros and cons, but the internet boom changed the whole way we do business, changed the whole way that we seek information, that we learn about other people. And then you bring in MySpace, good old Tom, bringing in MySpace where you can connect with profiles and, bios and what people are into and wallpapers and their favorite music. And then you get Facebook, and now you got social media. Now you got, all these platforms and YouTube and podcasts, and it really is all based on people. Now, obviously, you have like the AI aspect. You have, stock videos. You've got, certain images and whatnot. But at the end of the day, everything that is built in this world is built by the people. And that's kind of where we're going to as well in the golden age with the Great Awakening and people waking up that it is people to people. It's no longer the attractiveness of superficial conversations. Mm-hmm. People want to go deeper. They want to know what you're about. Like, what are your struggles? What are your goals? Not like, what's the weather like or who's your favorite basketball team. I think those ways of interaction and connection are things of the past. And there are some people that will hold on to those paradigms, which by all means, with free will, we're able to do that. Yet going into the future, given what is happening with social media, the creator economy, influencers, you're seeing literally people that drop out of college are now able to create more of a portfolio or net worth than people that have spent years and years spending a lot of money going to school. So in a way, it's creating a level playing field. And I think that's really important when it comes for people listening to this podcast or just looking at what the next thing they want to do in their life is, well, a lot of people, they'll call themselves introverted or they like to keep to themselves, yet still inside of all of us, there's this niche or this like urge to help people. There's this like want to serve, that's why we have kids. We want to lead, we want to empower. It's in our DNA, it's inherited in us. And at the same time, yes, there's times for, isolation and having your own space and having your own time. But a human-based marketing system really, in my opinion, is really emphasized on decentralization, getting away from corporate media, getting away from mainstream media, where most of these types of marketing and sales and shiny objects are centralized. They've followed an agenda. They're mixed with propaganda for certain narratives. I read something recently saying that life is all about programming, and you're either programming and controlling your life and running your own show, or someone's programming you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how many programs they're running that are not actually aligned with their values. So when it comes to human-based marketing, the fact that you can now, like we're doing, connect one-on-one on a phone call, on a Zoom call, on a live, instantly. And we'll talk about that again with crypto, like instantly, fast, seamless, where now you can reach millions of people. Like one video can reach so many people. And then going forward, that's what it's all about. It's bringing power back to people. That's why I love being an entrepreneur. That's why we love being network marketers. That's why we love networking. That's why we love, content creation, because it truly is all about human to human connection. There's that big term of authenticity. People just authentic, actual content, authentic people, not people wearing masks or maybe just reading from a script where you can feel that this is not what they're really saying. And so when you make it more human, when you actually share the more vulnerable sides of life, and you share the trials and errors you've gone through, and you share the things you've came out better from, I think that is being able to relate and connect more with people than seeing always the celebrities on TV or the people that are rich that you want to be like, but you don't know who they are as a person. So it goes really deep, yet the future is really bright. And I really see the world shifting back to, like I said, decentralization, where the emphasis and focus is on back to the core family, ways mom and dad can be home more with their kids instead of always gone working a 9 to 5, overtime, multiple jobs, just bringing the family back together, keeping mom and dad with the family. And then you talk about people are homeschooling, bringing the kids back home to learn, the values of the family and morals, instead of here, give it to the state, give it to the propaganda and program to program what my kids should believe and how this world should be. And then you look at community. I mean, we talk about it with our business. Sure, it's an amazing business. Yet, what do people love about our community? Is just people. You get to hang around like-minded people. You get to go on events. You can go on trips. You go on vacations. You can self-develop. And it's very, very enjoyable when you're winning with others. And so that's what's so cool about it. And the company that we were talking about earlier that we represent and we work with, they're very big on human-based marketing, very big on peer-to-peer, because they believe that if something is improving your life, whatever that might be, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, I always emphasize those 5 pillars. If you're being impacted, the biggest indicator of true health and true compassion is helping other people. And what better way to do that from peer to peer, instead of having a middleman or a third party or some corporation or entity that blocks that direct connection. Because some of the best people in the life, that you're going to meet, you haven't even met yet. And that's the coolest part. I think the last thing I'll say, and I'll throw it back to you, is, we grew up with all of our friends, high school, elementary school, college, but there's this, saying that they're only going to be with you for so long, because they are all going to live their own life and go on different paths. And I think some of the coolest things about our profession too, and what we do just in our life, and just for people listening to this, is the friends that you meet, whether they're there for a brief season or for years or for the rest of your life. I think embracing all types of those connections, instead of just hoping that they're there with you till the end of time. Maybe aside from our wife or our husband, sure, but friends, they come and go. Even family, they come and go. And if you don't attach to that and you really embrace and enjoy it as a experience, I always say, people ask me, I know so many things because I am very curious about a lot of people. I would not learn all I've learned just by reading books. It's actually talking, listening, asking questions. And so that's another piece of human-based marketing, is truly you're able to learn how to communicate. You're learning how to speak. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to be respectful. All qualities and traits for any type of person, man or woman, child, teenager, whatever it is you're in your life, that are valuable. And sometimes we don't have a price on those types of values. So human-based marketing, I believe, is the future. I believe people are going that direction with decentralization. Social media is a great tool. And it's definitely something that I feel more people are craving, to connect beyond just the superficial. And not just connect with an AI or a robot too. Got to get back to people with brains and hearts and a pulse and a soul. That's another asterisk. We got to put asterisks on these things, because the AI tech world is expanding just as much as our consciousness too.
Yep.
Yeah, human-based marketing is amazing, man. Truly is.
Wow, dude, drop the mic, bro. That was great. That was great. And what's crazy about human-based marketing is like, I believe this is the foundation for the golden age, which we'll get into. But it's like, it's not just coming from me. It's not just coming from Chris. Like, this is coming from a billionaire in our circle
Yeah.
who founded this terminology, who's transforming the world that we have access to. And maybe you could touch on that, because you just were in Japan, and they said that the team that you're building is top 200 in the world right now, right, bro?
Right, but pretty much, yeah. It's kind of every time people remind us of it, it's kind of like a pinch me moment. We started this almost 10 years ago. Yeah, we're 0.01%, and out of 2 million distributors, 200. And I think Jilly is our Wake team umbrella with me, Jilly, Geo, and everything below us is top 30. Actually, Jilly got so she's top 30, not just top 200. And she got like a little customized little pen at the event too. But yeah, his big philosophy and principle is human-based marketing.
Yeah.
The products that we share, life-changing holistic health products, which is incredible. Yet one of the biggest philosophies of his whole, movement and mission is philanthropy. And it's something I don't think enough people, teams, and organizations and industries actually emphasize. I think when you think about entrepreneurship, network marketing, direct sales, and anything where, you're selling a product or a service, usually a lot of times it's the health benefits you're getting, and it's also just the financial freedom, right? This good old piece of paper. How much of this can you make? Well, there's a third pillar that I feel will be probably one of the most important, if not more important, because it ties into financial liberation. It does tie into, health, mental, spiritual health, emotional health. And that's the philanthropic side. It's the compassionate side. It's the actual caring about people. And one of the quotes that he says, his name is Mr. Oshiro, he just turned 84 years old, is don't do it for profit, do it because it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's one of the lessons my father told me, just play the right way. Like, for example, you're playing on a basketball game and you commit a foul and you go and tell the ref, hey, I fouled that guy, call it next time.
Yeah.
Imagine playing, but that goes against the whole programming, because we try to complain about not being called on the foul. So like these principles of doing things the right way, even though you may lose money, you may lose a sale, you may lose a relationship, yet it's the right thing to do. I think that makes a bigger imprint energetically than anything else. And that's what he really stands for. And so if we can translate that as representatives, I don't say distributors, as representatives of a mission, representatives of a movement, of a vision that this man has had, which has rippled into 3 million other people, which is such a small amount compared to the world, but all over the world, it's truly a gift, I call, that keeps on giving. So he has this wheel that most representatives don't even know. It's called the wheel of compassion. And basically, like I mentioned before, he has the 3 pillars: the physical health, the financial health, and then the spiritual health. And the spiritual health, he said, was the 2 questions he brings up is, why are you here? Like, aside from being Ryan Allen Bell, besides being Chris O'Brien, like, who are you? Why are you here before you were given all these labels? And a lot of people don't stop and think about why they're here, what they're here to do. Like, why are they alive during the golden age, the birth of the golden age, and not at any other time in humanity? And then the other part is, what legacy do you want to leave? So like, when you're here, what are you doing? And when you leave, what are you leaving? And he said that's one of the biggest pillars that needs to be shared and adopted more, because that's something that does create the inspiration and motivation that you could never get listening to a book or a podcast or an Audible. It's got to come from within. So it's powerful. He goes really deep in terms of just focusing on indigenous people, culture, values, because he's a smart man, that he knows that if he can instill that in the company, and that would get actually energetically passed on to the representatives and distributors that represent Enagic, that's how he wants to make a change in the world. Yes, he wants people to have these health machines, right? These medical devices. Yes, he wants people to make a lot of money and get out of poverty, which is a big reason he created the company, not just for health, but people don't know. It's to give people a chance at life with their financials. And then the last part is just having peace of mind. So I think it's a powerful value. It's a circle of compassion. It's something I'm learning every time I visit Okinawa in Japan, and just being around his aura and his team and just what they stand for. And because at the same time, they're very disciplined, organized, direct, focused, like, we're going to get this done mentality. And that's deep in the Japanese Okinawan culture. But at the end of the day, they put on their guitar, their outfits, and they do their dances and they cheer and they sing and they just remember that we're here for such a short time. So let's make the most of it. And I think that's something that everybody can get behind too and stand by, which is amazing once you see it.
Yeah, you gave me the God bumps, bro, the goosebumps talking about that. And that's how you know it's real, because it is energetic. You going out there and you're downloading like the energy from this guy who's transforming the world. And like, I have so much respect for you and Jilly and Gio. Is like, you guys are truly making a difference to humanity. And, we're all part of this mission. And now we are privileged to help other people, look into compassion the same way that we see compassion,
Exactly.
Man, so good, bro. So human-based marketing, foundation of the golden age. You said something, the birth of the golden age. Let's say people are here, they're listening, maybe they're seeing the golden age on social media. Maybe they feel it in the air that things are different. What is the golden age, bro? Maybe you could give like a synopsis on that.
Yeah, the golden age. Well, if you really want to zoom out, this is not some term that was just deemed upon, President Trump mentioned it. You're seeing what's happening with the markets and the gold and revaluation of currencies. But if you actually zoom out even further, there's something called a Kali Yuga cycle, Kalyuga. And every thousands of years, these cycles occur. And so we've had a golden age before, but it was way back when. And this is when we had technology. There was no war, no disease. There was abundance for everything. You could drink right from the water in the streams. Like, there was a time where there was heaven on earth. But just like everything in this world, there's life and death. And I think when people start embracing these cycles, right, this cycle that doesn't stop, it just keeps evolving, keeps growing. We've been in other ages before. So you probably remember, we watch movies about it, the medieval knights, you have the Roman Empire, you have Genghis Khan, all these things in history, whether it's true or not, you always have to have discernment for our history and what we're told. But sometimes in the past, it was pretty dark. You had very dark times of mass genocide. You have times of just, colonization. And so these cycles in the Kali Yuga, which you guys can all look up yourself, it's been proven. It's all written in the stars. Whether you believe in astrology, sky astrology or not, there is so much bigger at play that is beyond our mental comprehension, beyond anything that religion, science has ever taught us, because it's things that humanity has yet to actually comprehend and download. Right? Like you said, you get the download, you get the aha moment. But when you zoom out and you actually look at the past, we were in a Bronze Age, we were in an Iron Age, we were in a Dark Age, and now we're coming into a Golden Age. So this is like what they call the Age of Aquarius, the Age of Enlightenment, the Age of Information, where now you're having days of awakening occurring, energy shifts occurring that used to take hundreds of years in the past.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what we are experiencing just in one day used to take 100 days.
Wow.
And what used to take 100 days used to take 1,000 years. And so when you start realizing time is almost like it's shrinking, but once you shrink that time to that, they call like the 0 point, now you have a new timeline. And so when you look at the energy of the world, the frequency of the planet, this is all for the Schumann resonance, what's happening in the stars, what's happening in the cycles, what's happening in the Kali Yuga, the Age of Aquarius. These are things, again, that are finally starting to get realized. And that's why you're seeing the emergence of new technology. You're going to see cures released that are happening right now. Ivermectin and all these things. These are all coming out. You're going to see new quantum financial systems, right? Like we talked about, that are quantum proof, that are way different than Federal Reserve central banking. That is an old Iron Age type construct that is meant to enslave and create poverty. And so just like this universe and God and everything that was created, there's always going to be the balance. Right? If you're going to have dark, you're going to have light. If you're going to have up, down, electric, magnetic, that's the polarities of the universe. So we are coming out, and this is where come out better. Most people didn't know, like, come out better is not just a way of living or my initials. It's what the world is going through. Like, we're coming out of this old world better. Now, some people are going to come out worse. They resist change. They resist new information. They resist new programs, they resist new experiences. So we hold on, right? Sometimes we're scared of things. We hold on instead of let go. But sometimes the things that you let go of are least attached to. You open yourself up to a whole new world. God does not disappoint. You're going to see some amazing things unfold. So the Golden Age truly, in a zoom out, bigger picture, is already written. It's the age of enlightenment. It's the beautiful time where humanity sees the truth, where humanity wakes up, global mass awakening, pop conscious awakening, where it's happening right now.
Yeah.
2020 pushed us over that cliff for a lot of people. But I believe 2012, I don't know if you remember, 2012 was like that year they said the world was going to end.
Yeah.
It was like the Mayan calendar. In my opinion, this is my opinion, 2012 was when and I'll give you an analogy. You go to a wave pool, right? Right, a wave pool at a water park.
Yep.
They pull the horn. Everyone screams and yells because the waves are going to start. That first wave, it's kind of small.
Yeah.
And the second wave is a little bigger, and then big.
Okay.
And then after 4 or 5 waves, by the time you get to the 10th wave, these waves are massive. 2012 was the first wave of awakening.
Wow. Interesting.
Because you can't just turn on the wave pool and have one tidal wave. You will drown everybody. That's a tsunami. Nobody likes a tsunami. But if you get little swells, and you like surfing, you get little swells, little waves, and all of a sudden there's the big one. The big one was 2020. That was the big wave that pushed us over. But in order for the wave of awakening to happen into the golden age, you have to have smaller waves occurring. That's why there's people that will say, I've been awake for 30 years, but no one wakes up. I've always known what they're spraying in the sky. I've always known the Federal Reserve was evil back in 1913 when my grandparents knew. They had a divine role to play in helping the world wake up to the truth. And so that's what this golden age is. It's not like an overnight change. It's wave after wave where every year, every week, every month, every day, there's a whole new wave of people that wake up. Wow. And as you collectively wake up and you collectively start to see, this whole veil be removed, we start to really create this world because it is a reflection of our inner world. They say create heaven on earth, but that starts within. And then as a collective, as we collectively now come together, we the people, human-based marketing, connection, community, consciousness, entrepreneurship, creation, social media, decentralization, all of these terms that you're starting to see pop up left and right, holistic health, living off grid, having faith back, people actually believing, in faith and having their faith and beliefs in whatever that is, like that right there is the golden age. Because as we wake up within and start taking care of our health, our mind, our hearts, our souls, that's all you're going to see in reality. You're going to see that all around you. And the more people that we can help see that without doing it for them or telling them what they need and should do, that's when people are going to really see the changes happening, which are happening now. And that's when we know we're on that golden timeline. And a big thing is the change of our financial system. So it's the awakening process, the ways of the awakening. The Kali Yuga already talks about it. The Schumann resonance on Earth is raising gradually. That's why you're seeing all these weather events. Sure, some are manipulated, but also the Earth is completely purging and changing. And just don't be surprised when we have, declassification of certain extraterrestrial encounters, certain animal species that are now discovered, certain things from the ocean that arise. You're seeing it left and right. And that's something you cannot stop. You cannot stop what's coming. And that's why I would say the best is yet to come. We haven't even tapped what we're about to see. And I know me and you and a lot of us drinking Kangen water and all the taking care of our health, we're going to be here for a long time. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be in the golden age as long as I can. But if it was Bronze Age, if you're in medieval times, get me out of here. This is crazy. This is crazy. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. Truly, truly is. But that's like I said, at first it's scary. Once you lean into it and you start to see it, because if people that are struggling right now, if you're struggling right now, there's something you're holding on to, something you haven't faced, felt, or seen. You cannot run from it anymore. All the stuff we've pushed down, right, from our parents, our grandparents, is literally coming out. Whether you're going to throw it all up, whether you're going to poop it out, sweat it out, or stress it out, or overwhelm yourself. And that's why people are literally either thriving right now or crumbling right now. And so you want to find yourself on the trajectory up instead of down. And that's what's whole part of the golden age too, is really taking care of your health and your mind and your spirit. And that's the golden age, man. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Beautiful time to be alive.
Yeah, you said that so well. So how long, based off your opinion, how long do you think this transition is going to how long do you think it'll be for until we get to a point where everyone knows that we're in the golden age?
Originally, I thought it would take a long time, like 100 years, a long time. But given, again, I think the very tool that humanity has been waiting for is technology. Social media is literally decentralized media. That is the reason, just to go back a little bit, JFK, the JFK files literally released yesterday of all timing, what's actually unfolding.
Yeah.
The reason why the world didn't wake up when he was assassinated is because there was no way to actually reach millions of people instantly. It took months for the world to really start to hear about the whole story, but they never got the whole story.
Yeah.
Today, in 24 hours, you can have 80,000 pages dumped, and you have millions of people breaking it all down and sharing the truth of it all. That's what I'm saying is what I usually used to think would take hundreds of years to do because of technology, AI, software, social media, podcasts, decentralized content creators, entrepreneurs, alternative media. People, the media is dead. The mainstream media is absolutely dead. If you're watching nothing more than a propaganda lie machine. That's the facts. Look it all up. Operation Mockingbird. All of this media, all of this information that has been hidden from the world is being distributed through alternate channels. And so that's why when you're asking me how long is this going to take, I mean, shoot, at one point we can have a complete change in the world. Look what COVID did.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the best thing. Look what 9/11 did. It changed the whole way the world worked. But how different was the reaction of COVID than 9/11?
Yeah.
We only saw it on a TV. There was no Instagram.
Yeah.
There was no X app. There was no podcasts yet. There wasn't even TikTok. We didn't even have YouTube.
Yeah.
All we did was turn on Fox News. That's all we could watch is the TV for 9/11. COVID, totally different story. But look how fast people woke up because of the COVID, because of social media, censorship, people getting suppressed information, deplatformed. I've been shadow banned. They try to destroy my ad. I can't even go live. I posted one thing. I can't go live for a whole year again. And so the louder they get about this censorship, the more people wake up. Now, the last little piece of it, too, is there are a lot more people, I believe, that are very awake to what's happening in the world and what's going on. It's just now the second part of it is the fear of speaking it out. The fear of saying, I don't believe that anymore. The fear of saying this is a scam. The fear of saying this, because so many other people have built their whole realities off of all of these lies. And so the sooner we can accept and move through, that's kind of the first part of an awakening, is you get a little pissed off. You have your red pill moment, you're pissed off, and I've been lied to my whole life. This is not how the world works. Wait, why are we taught that? Says who? Where did this come from? Wait, what? That's what taxes are? Wait, what does a bank really do? Wait a minute, what's in my food? Hold on, I thought my tap water was clean. Wait a minute, you're telling me this history never happened? And all of a sudden now you have these inner awakenings, and then people go share it. And I think that's why, again, this is going to happen a lot quicker than people think. And the faster it happens and changes, as I was mentioning, it's going to move fast. And if you don't evolve with it, I don't want to say you get left behind, but I'm just going to say for a lot of people, it's going to get real tough. It's going to get real bumpy, holding on to old ways of an old world that is dying in real time, as a new world like a phoenix is literally rising.
Yep.
So I think, just in the last few months alone, look at what has been discovered. Just since November 5th, you guys know what happened that day, and January 20th, just in the last few months, you have millions more people after COVID now just woke up to the corruption at the highest level that impacts you, me, our parents, family, teammates, community, future kids. It impacts all of us, whether we realize it or not. So again, nothing can stop what's coming, and it's happening. I wouldn't be surprised if another thing happens in the next week that shakes millions more awake. It's happening fast, man. It's happening fast.
It's kind of like, we could call 9/11 and like COVID like a black swan event, but but what's happening, and this is just like something that I foresee, is now we'll have like white swan events where it's like good things that are happening in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, 9/11, perfect. You literally, in 2 sentences, you said it perfect, man. Like, these events that have shaken us have all created an outcome of fear, panic, anxiety, stress, worry, anger, doubt, like pain, disease. Where you're saying beautiful golden age transfer is an event that is jubilee, that is very exciting, that is like euphoric, that is blissful, that is a sigh of relief, justice, disclosure, contact, extraterrestrial contact, like free energy. Like, I see all of these things literally happening, and it's hard to see it unless you look for it, because the media does a really good job of hiding it. But free energy, new cures, technologies that are going to come out, you're seeing it happen. And with new things though, as you know, man, there's resistance. Go this $5,000 device. I don't know. I would never buy that. It's like an iPhone, $1,000 phone. Like, what is that? I'd rather have a flip phone. Everything new has that resistance, and it has its pros and cons, right? AI, robots that Tesla is creating, automated self-driving. I mean, literally, I would not be surprised. And there's even contracts already being signed of flying cars in the next year or two. Literally flying cars. We're so behind. I truly believe we're at least 1,000 years behind where we should be.
Wow.
And I truly don't even believe that currently the calendar we are on is not even the right one. There's multiple calendars too.
Yeah.
And so we have to realize Trump recently said, not to get political, yet this is also very important, that April 2nd will be a day of liberation for America. Why does he say that? Because in the Gregorian calendar, or a certain type of calendar, April 1st is actually New Year's, not December.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
April 1st. And so what does the system do? What do they call April 1st?
April Fools.
Because we're the fool.
Oh my gosh, bro.
So they've made us a fool. And because it makes sense, right? Why would you have a new year in the middle of the darkest time of winter?
Yeah, for real.
Wouldn't a new year be the first day of spring? Wouldn't a new year be like when the sun is shining and the flowers are blooming and the babies are being birthed and the eggs are hatching and the flowers are, doesn't that make sense for a new year?
100%.
So that's a whole nother wormhole of what's happened to our time. How have they used time against us? How have they ruled us over time? 24/7, 24 hours. Do we really have 12 months, or are there 13 months? Why there's some months that are 28 days and some 31 and some 30?
Yeah.
So then you look, it just goes so deep. And if you just start to unravel it and realize literally how much we've been misled about, you start to see the world in a whole different direction. But it's good things happening. I like that. The White Swan events.
Well, yeah, White Swan, bro.
They're happening for sure.
So you might find this really fascinating because you said a keyword, Jubilee. So in the Old Testament, they use the word Jubilee, and they said it's a reset that happens every 50 years, and it's a financial reset. Yeah. And they're saying that 2025 is the year of the Jubilee, bro.
There you go.
I'm not sure if you knew that, but crazy, right?
I've read many things in the Bible of Revelations, the Jubilee, because 50 years ago, what happened? Do you remember?
Let's see, what was that, 1975?
There was a big thing that happened in the 70s.
Share with us, bro.
We were taken off something.
Well, gold standard.
There you go.
Wow, bro.
50 years before that, what happened? We were put on something.
Yeah, the fiat currency, right?
Federal Reserve Act.
Yeah, dude.
There you go. 50 years before, it's
oh my gosh,
really all the cycles, all the patterns.
So many dots.
It's pattern recognition. That's what conspiracy theorists are. The tinfoil hat people, they just recognize patterns.
Well, I love what you said earlier about, there's people that have been, I don't like to call them conspiracy theorists. I like to call them conspiracy truthists. It's like there's people that have been like that for years, but they just didn't have the courage to speak out. And I feel like I've been one of those people up until now. And that's why I started this podcast, is to bring on people like you. And that way we could start waking up the world just like one podcast episode at a time, bro. Because like I've been doing enough due diligence for years that like I'm able to recognize truth now,
Absolutely. Yeah. We need more voices. There's no such thing as too many voices, and you sharing your lens and perspective is a gift, because no one is like you. No one has ever had your experience. Nobody knows how you see the world. That's why it's so powerful, because yes, you'll attract people that are going to deny it, that are going to say you're crazy. Of course, your program is conflicting their program. That's cognitive dissonance. That's the bias conditioning. And that's totally normal. That's healthy, because it would be scary if we all thought the same thing. We'd be no different than robots.
For sure.
It would be totally terrifying. So that's good, man. No, that's fantastic. And I think you having that intention for sharing these things will, one, bring out a lot of good in you out to the world that can help people. Because I think, like you said it best, there's so many people that like they tell me that there's so many things that go on in my head, but the way you share it, it's like, that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
And the more you say it, just like playing a piano, shooting a basketball, golf, the more you do it, the more you say it, even though it sounds crazy, even though it doesn't even make sense, and you literally sound like you're talking gibberish, But the more you speak what truly is the world you see and how it works and how you function in it and how you perceive it and your perspective, you just get better at it over time. And I think more people need that, especially men. God bless you, man. A lot more men that you and I both know that I know a lot of this information, yet sometimes it's hard to speak out. Whether it's something holding you back, business holds you back, clients, your wife, your kids. I'm blessed to be pretty independent right now. I don't have these things yet. But at the end of the day, going back to what we said at the beginning of the podcast, even though it's off, even though it feels weird, do it because it's right.
Yeah.
As if you do it because it's the right thing to do, because it's going to help people and ruffle feathers and bring the truth. I think, I know that God will always have your back in it. And that's what I think a lot of people are waking up to, especially men. And you're seeing a lot of men get really loud lately.
Let's go.
And we need that, because when we've gotten lazy, what do they say? Tough times, right? Create weak men. That whole saying, botched it there for a second, but we've gotten to a point where weak men have created really tough times, but tough men create strong men.
Exactly.
And strong men create better times. But then the cycle repeats. Better times over the next 1,000 years, there's going to be an end of the golden age, possibly, maybe not. Like I'm even optimistic that this is the end of this loop cycle of the Kali Yuga. And we'll throw a wild card, but a lot of people know what this letter is, right? The circle and the line. Trump even makes it on his speeches. So you make the circle, the loop is breaking, and we're leaving that loop.
Wow.
That loop, that cue, that exit is a way for us to be in the golden age, to actually never go back to war, never actually experience these things. Because then our planet and our world, we probably won't be here by that time, but our lineage will be living on through us, and our DNA and all that. But I believe at that time, that's when we're thinking bigger of interplanetary, where you're traveling the galaxy, like where you're actually going beyond, where you have teleportation, where things that are literally out there. There's movies on it that have been out for decades about our ability to transcend time and move through dimensions, that puts anything that has to do with science or religion or academics or academia all just out of the water. Like, there are still things that I truly believe that have yet to be discovered, that will be discovered. But that's why so many people like you said, man, and why you're doing this show, are actually speaking out on this, because the more that people do, the more we will collectively create it, the more that people will actually believe it. So that's a good intention, man. That's why this your show is definitely going to pop off for a lot of people.
Let's go. I love that. So, man, this is amazing so far. So, golden age, yes, things are changing. Now, we started our episode talking about SEC, dropping the XRP case, but let's go to the changing monetary system, because you shared a documentary with me a few years ago, the Mike Maloney one.
Yeah.
Hidden Secrets of Money or something like that, right? And so maybe for those that have never seen that documentary and they're like, okay, like, how is our monetary system changing? Maybe you could give like a quick history lesson from like how we got from like bartering to gold to fiat to now crypto, and kind of like what the future looks like and why the SEC case is so important for us.
Very good. Well, you just started it perfectly. You summarized it right there.
Let's go.
You go back, and it's called, The Hidden Secrets of Money. It's a 10-part series by Mike Maloney. It's on YouTube. It's free. It should be in every school, every home, every family. If you're listening to this now and you use this on a debit, credit, or cash to live your life, it is a must watch. Because the problem with our world is there is also an issue, a pandemic, which is financial literacy, the lack thereof, financial literacy. It's crazy to think that many people work a 9-to-5, work 40 hours a week, even what we do, make money, income streams, all the things we talk about, financial freedom, but nobody knows why we do this. Nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows how the monetary system works. Nobody knows what the bank's business actually is. Nobody actually knows what money printing is, or where the Federal Reserve was born, and what these acts and these laws have been passed, and all of these things. So to give a brief history, which for most people, that's the hardest part, is taking so many complex things and simplifying it. And I think that's where the stroke of genius for people comes in. Nobody cares if you know quantum physics if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old. That's what Einstein, Tesla are so good at. They take the most complex things, but then they can teach you with an apple. They can teach you with 2 letters. They can teach you with a cotton swab and a Q-tip, and now you know quantum physics.
Yeah.
How do we correlate that to financials? How do we correlate that to the monetary system? And like you said it, man, we started with bartering shells, trading cattle, and then gold. God's money, they say, gold and silver. So back in the day, in order to exchange money, currency, right? Currency and money, two separate things. Watch the series, you'll learn exactly what it is. But let's say, for example, Ryan had gold back in the days. And instead of holding all that gold in his home, which, back in the day, you have a musket or you have a sword or someone comes and threatens, you can't do anything. You can't call the police. You can't tweet. You can't dial 911. There was no such thing. So Ryan would have to go find a bank, right? A vault, a safe, some place where he could give his gold coin. And then in return, what would they give you? Here's a certificate.
Yeah.
That's where things started to get a little wonky. So as you would give your gold, you would get a certificate. Let's say Ryan needed some money for some cattle, for his home, for food or whatever. And he would take a certificate to get his gold. Well, what happened was over time, there was no gold anymore because they would lend out the gold and give another IOU. And so that's where we started to kind of make a lot of different changes financially, and corruption started to come in, right? Now you started having centralized currency and whatnot. So fast forward, just to save time, like we mentioned just a few minutes ago, in 1913 was an act that was passed. An act, not a law. Act. Think of the word act. You're an actor. This is all fake. It's just an act. It's just a show. The Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 and basically turned our once sovereign nation, a republic, back in 1871, became a corporation. And so, Ryan, with your home-based business podcast, in order for a corporation and a business to run, what do you need? You need capital.
Capital, for
sure. You need money. You need cash flow. You can't, or else you're bankrupt. So we got bankrupt multiple times in the Bank of England, the Crown, right? The royal family, all of them had to bail us out. And every time something and someone bailed us out, we lost our power. So now in 1913, a creature was born on Jekyll Island called the Federal Reserve, which is a central bank backed by founders that very people don't know. The quiet, the secret families and all these people, the Illuminati bloodlines and yada yada. But it's true. They came together, right? The Morgans, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. They worked with the Bank of England or the Royal Crown, the Vatican. That's kind of the three-headed monster. But the Federal Reserve is born and thus created the Federal Reserve Bank. And that became our country's bank. But it wasn't federal. It had nothing to do with our government, and they had nothing on reserve. They just had power. They had blackmail. It was fraudulent. It was corrupt. And so when the president at the time signed off on us, I forget the name exactly, I'm blanking on his name, but he basically said in a memoir that was the day he killed the country, when you let a central bank rule your nation. Wow. And that's how all wars in the world start. Most people don't know this. The cause for every war, Russia, Ukraine, the Palestinian, the stuff in Africa, the stuff in Mexico, Colombia, all of these places where wars have taken place, back in Germany, Hitler, all of these things. If you tie it back, it all comes back to the banking system, central banking. And they would manipulate countries to blackmail them to say, hey, if you did not take our Federal Reserve notes backed by nothing, we will actually destroy you. We will blackmail you. We will corrupt your presidents. We will create war. We will create famine, poverty. And that's how they took control of the world. Dang. Yet some countries didn't oblige, and that's why you hear them as terrorists. Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Kim Jong-un, all these people that media tells us are bad people are actually the ones that resisted the Federal Reserve the most.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy to think, right?
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's all inverted. It's all inverted. So anyways, the Federal Reserve is created, and what happened is they started to print money. Right? You start to print money on pieces of paper. Great. Awesome. Thought it was great because it was backed by gold. There was a Bretton Woods agreement that our currency would be still backed by gold. This was in 1940s, the Bretton Woods Act. So you can look all that up as well. It's in the 10-part series with Mike Maloney. And then fast forward even further, now the elites start to get a little greedy because they knew that if the currency was backed by gold, they couldn't print more. Because what happens when you print more currency? Not money. You can't print gold. Currency. What happens when you can't print more currency? You start losing control. You can't inflate the market. You cannot create a rich class and a poor class. They had to find a way to separate themselves. They call them, right, the elites, the pyramid, which is literally right here, right on our dollar bill, right there, the pyramid. So that little piece at the top right there, that is what the rich are. And that's what the all-seeing eye, You see it in Lord of the Rings, right? The Sauron eye, seeing over everything, and they're trying to destroy it. And so they would print this money into oblivion. And so what happened was it got so bad that then Nixon, being blackmailed, took us off the gold standard, like we just said. And in response, Henry Kissinger goes to Saudi Arabia and makes a deal that now the whole world must use the U.S. fiat petrodollar in order to trade oil. Oil was the currency, right? Oh, it's the fossil fuels, all those things. Oil. This is a petrodollar. Okay, this is a petro fiat. It's a debt note. It's a note that is owed by the debtor and the creditor, and all that jargon with sovereignty that you can learn and research. But basically, what happened is the whole world had to surrender to the Federal Reserve, the central banks, and now they have no boss.
Yeah,
they don't respond to the people. The president can't tell them what to do. Congress and the House and the Senate cannot change any types of laws or lobbyists or anything because they're all corrupt and being fed with the Federal Reserve. Because as you print more money, you'll flood the economy. Now, at first, it's great. Remember in COVID, they printed here's a fun fact for you. 80% of all currency in circulation was printed and digitized in 2020.
Insane, bro.
80% of all money in the world. And most people can't even comprehend how much wealth there is or how much money there is out there. You're talking quintillions, like 26 zeros, if you really, really do it because of all this corruption, money laundering. So when you have all of this go into play, again, how does it affect us? Well, that's what inflation is. It's when you're printing money, you're flooding the system, yet taxes are taking money from people. And I don't know if people know, I'm sure you've talked about this, what taxes actually are. We're 36 debt. And they have the audacity to say that you don't have an 800 credit score because you can't pay off your credit card. Meanwhile, the very credit agencies work for a government that is 36 trillion in debt. And when Ryan, when you have a credit card, right? What's the one thing people fear the most?
The interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the government owes the Fed $36 trillion, who's paying interest?
Yeah, it's the people, right?
That's income tax.
Yeah. Crazy, bro. Income tax. Yeah.
The very thing people hate, and that's why it's getting exposed right now. So just think, if you're a 9-to-5 employee, this is like a segue of Ryan's original first season of the home-based business. Every person should own a home-based business, literally because if you do not, you're saying you're willingly paying more on the interest the government owes to the Fed that was created to destroy our country.
Yeah.
That's a complete upside down shift in the way you look. That's
bro.
why people are pissed off about income tax. And then to know that this money not only pays the interest, but it doesn't, because where does it usually go? It goes to other countries. So we're not even paying the interest. That's why our debt doesn't go away. We can never pay it off. It's a never ending cycle. It's literally a black hole.
Wow.
So what do you have to do? You have to have a reset, like you said, man. Every 50 years, they say every 110 years, truly, the financial system goes through a complete reset. So 110 years ago, 1913, we're 2 years overdue. So now with 2025, right? You got balloons. There you go. 2025, we're about to experience that reset. And that's now present day. That's what you were asking. That's now what is actually happening with XRP.
Yeah.
Because Ripple is here not to, topple governments. It's not here to overthrow bureaucrats. It's not here to just completely eliminate the Federal Reserve. Ripple and their technology, XRP, and the technology they have, which is more than just XRP, is here to actually, put it this way in our terms, hydrate the economy, hydrate the banking system. The banking system has been dehydrated. We've been using plastic water bottles to move money. We're in Kangen water. Why?
Yeah.
It provides on-demand liquidity. There's a liquidity crisis happening. And so that's why you're seeing people like Warren Buffett, all these people in the stock market, Bezos, they're selling billions of their stock because they know that an inevitable collapse is on the horizon. When will that happen? How big it is? How long it lasts? I don't know, but I do know there will be a reset. And so with innovation now, and why this matters with the XRP and SEC lawsuit, the SEC is very corrupt. They're only focused on protecting Wall Street. That's only their primary focus, because Wall Street is where most of the money is laundered. Okay, so most of the money is laundered through Wall Street. The SEC is a corporate or an agency that was created by a government that was never even elected by we the people, all foreign, like the IRS, FBI, CIA, all these three-letter agencies. The last thing they want to do is make you safe, protected, healthy, and wealthy. It's the last thing on their agenda. It's the bottom of the barrel. So the SEC, when XRP started to become well known, they attacked it. Why? Because they were told from the top down, hey, don't let this get implemented, because if this technology gets adopted all over the world, that we're done. Central banking, the SWIFT system, banks, most people don't know that banks do something called fractional reserve banking, where if Ryan were to deposit $100, they would lend out 90. On the $90 they lend out, they charge interest. That's how banks make their money. The banks is a business. It's not a vault.
Yeah, for sure.
If Ryan wanted to get his money, let's say Ryan needed $100,000, he showed up to Chase or Wells Fargo, knocked on their door, he would not be able to get it. Can you imagine not being able to get your money? But remember what happened thousands of years ago? You had your gold, you had your certificate. Hey, where's my gold? We don't have it. So it's literally the same thing happening today that happened thousands of years ago. It's just in a different form. It's just in a different currency. And something too is people listening to this, because I get this a lot. It's like, well, I'm scared of crypto. You're like, what if they can control it? Like, what if, and I say, do you use a debit card? It's like, do you use a credit card? Like, how often do you pay your rent in cash? Like, how often do you buy your groceries in cash? And like, well, I guess never. Like, you're already using crypto.
Yeah.
It's all digital money.
Yeah.
It's all digital money. And yes, it can be it could be controlled surveillance, social credit, but we're not going down that path. And that's a whole deeper conversation.
Yep.
But the future is bright. But the SEC lawsuit, all it did was block the innovation. It basically tried to delay the inevitable, because you can't stop. Innovation cannot be stopped. It'll find ways to evolve and adapt. The people will rise up. The people will speak out. So that's what we were saying just today. The SEC lawsuit was technically dropped. The ball went into Ripple's court. Basically, it's over. Ripple just gets to decide what's the finishing blow. And once that's done, my friend, the whole new world awaits. And the whole world is waiting, because this is not something that has manifested the last few years. Blockchain, distributed ledger technology, XRP, XLM, over ledgers, quantum, like all of these things have been around for decades.
Yeah.
For decades. Just the powers that be that have been in control have kept it quiet and hidden until someone new came into the office, that most people don't like, but yet are starting to love. And now actually shaking things up, exposing it, pointing out the truth. And that's why he says the golden age will be here. And April 2nd will be a day of liberation. Crypto, US will be the crypto capital of the world. We're going to go back to a gold standard currency where we have actually, I don't know if you know this, we are number one in the world of all the gold. We took it all back. We have all the gold. You can go to the US debt clock and see how much gold the US has. We have the most gold of any country in the world. And there was a saying, and Trump tweeted this, I think in 2012. He said, he who has all the gold makes the rules. So put all the pieces together. And the last piece of it is, once the SEC is officially done, when we have a standard where our dollar is now backed by gold, and now you have gold in your hand or silver, but the question is, what if I wanted to send someone $10,000 worth of gold to Australia? Yeah. You're not going to send bars on a plane or ride it up by a cart and buggy like back then. So what do we need? We need digital assets. We need digital technology, a money processor that moves the value of wealth instantly anywhere in the world within seconds, that is dirt cheap, energy proof. Actually, XRP does actually give energy, not take it. It's electron donor, little Congo word. It's a negative charge. It provides energy, and it now allows us to bypass the middleman. Yeah, and can go to Spain or he can go to Mexico, and he can now use XRP to buy anything in pesos, and it'll convert instantly. And so we have yet to even tap into the potential of what money can and should do. But we've come a long way, and we're literally coming out of those dark ages. We're the golden age now. That's why I always say the best is yet to come. It's applied in so many ways, but crypto is a big one. It's a big one, man.
Yeah, dude, that was so well said. A couple questions for you based off of everything. Yeah, based on everything you said, that was so great. So a term that comes up over and over again is ISO. Maybe you could kind of share with the people, why is investing to ISO so important, or what's the importance behind that?
Perfect segue, because what I just said is, let's say you're in Mexico, right? You have pesos. You go to India, there's rupees. You go to Russia, there's rubles. You go to the US, there's dollars. You go to the UK, there's pounds, right? Euros. So think of it this way. Here's the easiest analogy I can give you. Think of all these countries and all their currencies. Add one more piece. Add in the language that they speak. So imagine, Ryan, you're at a dinner and you're at a table and there's someone that speaks German, Russian, Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, French, and Italian. And everyone starts talking.
Yeah.
What
How
do
do
you
we
do?
do that?
How do you can't, that's
Yeah.
exactly the banking system we have today.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
What ISO 20022, it's a messaging standard. It doesn't even have anything to do with actually crypto. It's a messaging standard that allows two parties that talk in different language, different currency, to actually get on the same page on a universal language, on a distributed ledger.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
if you can find digital assets that are going to work and be compliant and integrate into a messaging system where a German person could speak in German, but the Chinese person, right, maybe they have a little earphone, right, that like they do at the United Nations, that everyone's like just listening with they're like this. That's what the messaging is, but imagine instantly.
Yeah.
So now the messaging that is sent across borders, cross-border payments, whether it's currency, language, processing, smart contracts, all of these different terms we're going to be learning over time are now on the same page. So there's no confusion.
Yeah.
So imagine you start talking in English, but everyone at the table in their native language actually understands it.
Yeah.
And then that guy over there speaks in Chinese, but you actually understand it. You're like, how do I know what he's saying? This is insane.
Yep.
That ISO 20022.
Wow.
So you want to find projects and assets that are compliant with those standards, because 90 to 95% of digital assets that aren't won't be around much longer.
For sure.
That's the scary part. I think there's 30,000 cryptocurrencies right now.
Yeah.
30,000. And you and I can make a new crypto today if we want, but does not mean you're here to stay. So you got to be careful. So ISO 20022, XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, Algorand, HBAR, IOTA are probably the top ones that you would, these are right here, the three X's, XRP, XLM, XDC, all compliant in that regard, and will be mass adopted. Because the biggest market too that these technologies want to adopt, especially XRP and XDC, which is like Ethereum 2.0, the better kind, is derivative market. And I don't know how much money flows through the derivative market and how corrupt it is. You're talking trillions of dollars, like I think $700 trillion. So if XRP just got a 10% of that, you can do the math, you're talking $1,000 each of an XRP token. And that's just nothing. Like, people will not be able to fathom how much value is put on these technologies. They won't even be able to fathom how fast $1 trillion can move from one bank to another. Remember, you texted me, hey, here's the podcast link. How fast did that send?
Yep. Instant. Yeah.
But if I was in Europe and you tried to send me 10 grand, how long would that take?
Dude, days.
That does not make sense. How
not.
Can we send a text, which is, what if you sent me 1 million, just a million, the number million? If you texted me that, I got it instantly. But if you send me 1 million with a dollar sign, why does it take 4 days?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Once that changes, the world changes. Because why? You dissolve the construct of time.
Yeah. Wow.
Why do we have payroll twice a month? Why don't we get paid every day?
Yeah, exactly.
I think this has to do with our money system.
Yeah.
And that's how they've controlled and enslaved us through time and through our monetary system. So that's what ISO 20022 is. It's a messaging standard that gets the world on the same page, so there's no more confusion, that creates a level playing field.
Wow. Thank you, bro. Thank you. So we'll kind of like transition a little bit, kind of close things up a little bit, because this has been an amazing conversation so far, bro.
Yeah.
What is the best advice you could give to the listeners in terms of just setting up for their future? So like, and some secondary questions on that is like, what should they do about our current financial system? Should they be paying taxes? Should they not be paying taxes, income taxes, right? And then number two, for those saving money, should they not be saving money in fiat? Where should they be saving money at? And then if we could start there, I think that'd be great.
First of all, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Please consult a CPA, a financial professional. This is mere educational purposes. I do not condemn, condone, or tell you what to do with your financial future. With that said, always got to drop that.
Yes, sir.
With that said, taxes are interesting. One thing, there's so many ways to look at it, right? And the most extreme, and I say extreme in the most empowering way, is to truly leave the system. I don't do that. I haven't done that yet. I don't know when I will, if I will. I'm on the boat of I don't believe income taxes and a lot of taxes will be gone. We'll be here much longer. I'm very confident in that. From the closing of the IRS building to the layoff of the thousands of IRS agents to what Trump is saying, what Doge is finding, people are awake. It's not going to happen. So that's the first part. You can write it out and just kind of wait for the storm to pass, pay whatever you got to pay. I don't know. That's up to you. I do know a good amount of people, and I'll say in the thousands, if not millions, based on what I see over the years, are not filing anymore. And that's their choice. But what I was going to say is you can either go sovereign and take yourself out of the system, create a trust, you become a sovereign national. There's a whole process. I cannot advise you on that. I know some people, if you want to reach out, great. But that's one extreme option in a very empowering way. Number two, like Ryan and I talk about, like if you really know what taxes are and it pisses you off and you're finding ways to not pay as much and you're not going to leave the system, but you're also feeling like you're going to have to file because you've had some issue or some fear, whatever it is, because it's a deep program, start a home-based business. Start writing everything possible off. Find a way to reduce your tax bill to a point where you can maybe get paid back your taxes.
Yeah.
So whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, I pray that you know this. I pray that you learn about tax deductions. I pray that you talk to a good CPA that works for the people, not the government. And that's something you can look at doing. Another thing people are doing is they're extending their filing date to see what happens with what Trump does. Obviously, these are things out of our control. But at the end of the day, you just have to come back to what feels right for you. And this is a tough one because morally, right, ethically, we've been programmed to pay our taxes because it helps pave the roads and pay for our schools. But the contrary is when you learn the truth of where our taxes actually go, it doesn't go to any of those things. Those are state taxes, by the way, that goes to the roads and schools, if that. So you have to talk to your local Congress, your representatives, your governor for each state that you're in. That's a whole nother conversation. But as far as federal tax, federal income tax, like I said, become sovereign, set up a trust, leave the system. That's up to you. If you're going to file, find a good CPA that works for you, not the government that wants to help you. If you are filing, find a home-based business, start one ASAP, hit up Ryan, find ways to write things off, set up a home-based business, maybe an LLC, reduce your tax bill, or file an extension and just wait it out and speak loud and start getting loud about what this is because it truly is corrupt. So that's what taxes, what I would say and what I would recommend and do. And then the second part of your question, what do I do with this? Right?
Yep.
We all get paychecks. You and I get checks for changing lives and their health. People get paid from their 9 to 5. People get paid if they go Uber, we get paid. Money goes out or money comes in. The thing is, we've been programmed, our parents told us, our grandparents, yada, yada, save. Put it in the bank, maybe put it in the stock market, the S&P, mutual funds, because I think right now the S&P is a 6 to 8% return. Maybe 10% if you find a good fund or whatever it is. Some people do, treasury. Some people do real estate. There's so many places you can put your money, but for most people just don't have the financial literacy to invest. This is investing. That's what investing is. Investing isn't just an angel company or Shark Tank, right? They want us to think that's all investing is, but you can start investing $5 into things. That's why crypto is incredible because you can start investing with $1. You don't have to wait till the market opens or closes like the stock market. You can buy crypto on a Saturday morning. And you can buy $100 of it. You can own it. It's yours. It's your asset, and that can appreciate. So not financial advice, but I think the last place you would want to put the hard-earned money that you are making with your time, especially if you're trading time for money and don't have a business or system, the last place would be in a savings account in a bank. If you're going to do a bank, look at a high-yield savings account where they give you 5%. But 5% is nothing because XRP, for example, just on the year is over almost 30%. And in 2024 was over 300%. Imagine if you just moved your money over a little bit to the crypto account, you would have made more money passively than probably your job is paying you.
Yeah.
You want to start thinking, how do I make this my employee instead of put him on vacation and put George Washington in the bank where he just chills and sips a pina colada? You got to put this president to work. You want to put Abe Lincoln to work. You want to put, Benjamin Franklin to work. That's how I think about it. And so that, again, like you said, man, you have to break that programming of what money is. Watch the Mike Maloney series. Know what banks are doing. Know that they're taking your money and lending it out. It's like they're doing the thing that I'm trying to get people to do. I'm trying to get people to put it into an asset that gives them yield or a return over time. Because if you don't do that, the banks will do it on your behalf, but you won't get a return.
Wow.
They'll take your $100,000 and invest it, and they'll make money. They won't tell you. They'll say they have it, but if you need to go get 100 grand, they don't have it for you.
Exactly.
That's scary. But if you took that 100 grand and put it into precious metals, let's say into silver a few months ago or a few years ago, silver went from $20 to $34. Gold went from $1,500 to $3,000. You would have went from 100K to 300K or 200K. You cannot get that return in any other stock market, any other asset class. Literally, precious metals is a great place as well. I'm a big fan of it. I have a great portfolio of it. But when you look at the end of the day, where should I put my money? Last thing I'll say, one of the best things you can do when it comes to investing, if you're going to look at digital assets, is something called dollar cost averaging. And that is where you're putting in $5 a day, $10 a day, money that you wouldn't even know is gone. But over time, months go by, you start to see your bank account really stay the same. But then you look at your other portfolio, and that portfolio now went from $1,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000. Now your money is actually on your team. Your money is actually working for you. You are the boss. But if you do not make you the boss and your money the employee, you are the employee and the money is always going to be your boss. Yeah. That's the inversion. That's centralized to decentralized, government to the people, disempowered to self-empowerment, scarcity to abundance, poverty to rich. All we're doing is we're flipping the game that they flipped on us to take all of our power and our wealth away. And that's what the golden age is. It's the great flip. It's the great flip of the switch. It's everything back to humanity. So that's what I would recommend and urge people to start looking at.
Yeah.
Is if you don't change, well, it's going to be a brutal wake-up call over time. And I think people are ready for it. So that's what I would do without being financial advice.
Yeah, for sure. Bro, I am so happy we got to collaborate. Like, I feel like we are doing our duty as men and then just as people as like helping usher in the golden age. And I just want to say thank you, bro. Like this has been incredible.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. No, thanks for having me. And I pray whoever's listening gets some value and take action. Like learning is great. Reading books, listening to Ryan's podcast, it's a great start. Just don't get caught up in always learning. There's got to be a balance of taking action and doing, whether it's chatting with Ryan or learning about crypto or maybe making your first investment in silver or being open to a home-based business or I don't know whoever's listening to this, wherever you're at in your life, the only thing that's going to change is when you actually do something. Yeah. Learning is great. Reading, listening is awesome. But the action with your hands, with your mind, with your voice, with your words, with your feet, with your footprint, with your choices, that's the best way that we can all make a difference in the world to help people come out better. Yeah,
so good. So good. So you guys, if this is your first time hearing from Chris and you're just blown away and you want to come out better, Chris is a truth coach. And so like there's so much distraction worldwide. What is truth? What is not truth? I can assure you, if you get connected with Chris, follow his content, you guys will be plugged in for the actual truth that's happening in the world. Chris, for people to reach you, any specific offers, where's the best place that they can get in touch with you at, bro?
All right. Well, here, pay attention here. You guys might need to replay this part or check out the caption. Ryan will leave all the sources. So main page, Come Out Better. At Come Out Better on Instagram. That's the main page. The sub pages, I have other pages on Instagram. One is Come Out Hydrated, all about holistic health, the Kangen water we drink, hydration. Number 2 is Come Out Wealthier, which is a whole page dedicated to cryptocurrency. Number 3 is Come Out Winning, which is my high ticket sales coaching page. If you want to work with me one-on-one, build a business to create cash flow, and then turn this into digital assets or precious metals. Number 4 is at the Cobcast, which I have my own Cobcast as well. It's called the Cobcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel at Come Out Better. I have X app at Come Out Better. I have Facebook, which is just my name, Chris O'Brien, a TikTok at Come Out Better _, and a Telegram channel, Come Out Better. And the O is a Q for the Q military operation that's unfolding. That's truly helping liberate humanity and creating an alliance with the military and civilization. And then as far as other offerings, I have comeoutwealthier.com, which has a full comprehensive crypto course with 20 plus modules, 25 hours, 3 workshops, a money timeline. A lot of the things that Ryan and I discussed are more in depth and detail. So if you want to invest in that, you can. We have a couple hundred people that are signed up for that and have learned a ton. I've probably helped at least 50 to 100 people make over 100 grand just in crypto, just from things that they've been investing in. And so that's one avenue. Comeoutwinning.com is a place where you can learn more about working with me in high ticket sales. Again, I've helped close to 15 people make over 6 figures. Hundreds of people make an extra 10 grand, 50 grand part-time. So you can work with me on that. And then comeouthydrated.com, I actually wrote a 50-page comprehensive ebook with a 30-minute masterclass all about the holistic health of hydration, electrolyze reduced water. And I call it the greatest story never told, which has to do with how the Rockefellers turned a blind eye from technology that our CEO that we were talking about earlier has found a way to pioneer and bring to the world when it was discovered back in the early 1900s. So it's a full comprehensive ebook with a masterclass. We have that, and I think that's it. I think that's a good start. And my website, comeoutbetter.com. If you want to know more about me, my story, my timeline, the products I love and share, my affiliates links, all my shops, all my supplements I take, coaching. I offer one-on-one coaching, crypto coaching, life coaching, high-ticket coaching, social media coaching for those that need any individual private coaching that don't directly work with me. But that's comeoutbetter.com. And I think that's it. And I think that's plenty. So you can I call all of that the cobweb. So
cobweb.
That's where you get stuck, but in a good way. I won't make it be scary. It's very immersive, helpful, but once you get in it, you're stuck in it. But I promise you, you will come out better. And the best is truly yet to come. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can.
Amazing. Dude, thank you. And we'll put all of those resources in the show notes for you guys. So, Chris, it's been a complete honor, bro. And, I look forward to our next one. And truly appreciate you, man. Let's go come out better for the world, bro.
Best is yet to come. Thanks, Shell. Thanks, Ryan.